TrustedSec founder and cybersecurity expert David Kennedy with us right now. David, I don't know where this Julian Assange investigation goes. We do know that since he was first getting that information from Manning, that ever since that time, there have been a number of security breaches, some tame, others huge. So we can't seem to get this under control.
Yeah, Neil, great to see you again. And when you look at what the kind of cascade of different portions of breaches that occurred for top secret data that occurred after Manning, I mean, we had the Vault 7 breach, which was very heavy on the CIA tactics.
Right.
You had, obviously, Edward Snowden. We had the shadow brokers dump, where a government contractor, Harold Martin, was posting a lot of data around some of the NSA's most secret hacking tools and techniques and code. So we've had a number of different breaches that have impacted our intelligence community and how we actually conduct operations, how we conduct military operations, cyber operations, all of those. It's been very difficult for them to get a grasp on how do you actually protect this in the digital age. And that's, I think, the problem is it's no longer, hey, you can go into a SCIF or a sensitive compartmentalized information facility and try to take little pictures. I mean, you have these little tiny devices that are literally the size of your thumbnail that you have to protect against now. And it's really difficult for the intelligence community to get their hands around that.
I wonder, too, in this day and age, whether, we come up with a better mousetrap, we find a smarter mouse, and back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah, there's a lot of technology out there that's trying to catch hackers. It's what we call deception, where you kind of put little pieces of artifacts out there for people to go after. And if you look at what happened with Edward Snowden specifically, in his role, he was a contractor that was more of a systems administrator, not really a hacker in any sense, and he had wide access to a lot of different pieces of the top secret network there called JWICs. Which allowed them to essentially grab a lot of that information and pull it back without any type of detection. So the military really needs to focus on, the military and our intelligence community really has to focus on who has access to that data and seeing if anybody's grabbing large, copious amounts of data like we saw with Manning, like we saw with Edward Snowden, like we saw with Harold. All of those are key indications that something's wrong. Somebody shouldn't be downloading 50 terabytes worth of data like we saw with Harold Martin, who had some of the most biggest secrets that the NSA holds dear.
We tend to discover this stuff well after the fact. I don't know what the timeline was with Manning and eventually getting that to Assange and all, but it's like stores that report, like Target, member, it was months later that we found out about it. And in the case of another retailer, years. And I'm wondering why that is.
It's a problem that we face both in the intelligence community and we face in the private sector as well. If you look at data itself, there's so much out there, and with data, it's usually all over the place. There's no real formalized way to structure data in a way that allows you to kind of say, okay, well, this person has access to this data. You look at a company as large as Target, for example, they're massive, right? And they have people at a whole bunch of different stores. And seeing patterns that are unusual is becoming our biggest challenge in the security industry, and why it's becoming more and more difficult for us to identify these breaches early on. You saw Starwood, 3 years. You saw a lot of these newer breaches as well. Still to this day, we have problems looking for these different types of breaches. So as an industry, we have to get better at detecting earlier on when these types of abnormal patterns of behavior are occurring in these networks, including the intelligence community. We all have to do a better job at finding them earlier on, day one, versus 6 months or a year down the road when the information is actually released or the breach is discovered.
Yeah, well said. And so we wait for just that. David Kennedy, always good catching up. Thank you.